We're coming to you live from Universal Studios, and as you can see, it's on fire. This morning, my wife came running into the room and she turned on the TV and she said, Universal Studios is on fire. I grabbed my camera and got to the top of our roof, and this is the view from our house looking towards Universal Studios. This is the view from on top of a hill just next to Barham Boulevard. And as you can see, the whole San Fernando Valley could see this fire, and I'm sure even Hollywood could see this fire. Lots of news crews, helicopters came flying in, and they were broadcasting live from on top of the same hill. This is the set from The War of the Worlds that Steven Spielberg directed a couple years ago. And as I pan over, you can see the Psycho House, the original Psycho House. And as I pan up, this is what's the end of the fire, the video vault. And I'll pan over here, and you can see that New York City is burned down. This is some of the production offices. I know Eureka has their production offices in there, and this is, thank goodness, the side of the Back to the Future City Hall. It survived. But you can see the fire department right there working very hard to put out the film vault. This is a helicopter that's on standby, and I'll pan over. You see the trams from the Universal Studios tour, and there is the fire. This is the exact same area that burned down almost 10 years ago.
Move the vehicles out of the way.
Unlike this fire today, the Universal Studios fire started at night, and I had gone to the top of the hill. My friend lived there to visit her, and I looked over, and this is what I saw. I grabbed their camera and quickly started capturing some of these images. Fire trucks pulling in there. That's one of the explosions of probably a propane tank on the back lot.
The whole backlot.
Not only did the backlot catch on fire, the actual hill caught on fire.
Yeah, there goes the tram. They're getting all the trams out of there probably because they're in danger. Oh, and they got propane on those things too, so.
Of course, where my friend lived was a perfect view of the Universal fire, so the news crews started showing up on top of the hill. And this is one of them. Boy, look at that really old news truck.
Universal Studios on the back lot at Universal City. It broke out at 7:20 this evening. Our Linda Moore is on the scene. We go to her now with this live report. Linda.
I can barely hear you because of all the activity here. As you just say, there is a tremendous fire here on the backlot of Universal Studios. If you can look over here behind me, it is still burning. It has just been a tremendous ball of flames blowing in many different directions because, as you may have noticed, of course, today, very windy day, very gusty conditions. The fire, as you say, broke out a couple hours ago, and it continues to burn right now. From reports that I have gotten, now these are unconfirmed reports, but people who work down there at Universal Studios tell me that these are the number of structures that have gone up. There have been 4 buildings involved, including Town Square. If you've watched the movie Back to the Future, that was where much of that movie was filmed. Also Kill a Mockingbird. These are landmarks at Universal Studios, reportedly, only reportedly now, that have gone up in flames. Also, the King Kong attraction has gone up in flames as well. There is also concern about New York Street. That possibly has also gone up in flames and has been completely destroyed. Again, these are only reports. On the New York Street, Dick Tracy was filmed there, and there is also now concern.
This helicopter here is actually dropping water on part of the Back to the Future set. There's the clock tower, and as you can see, the building next to it starts to catch on fire, and then the fire consumes the whole building, and then the clock tower starts to catch on fire. Thank goodness for the fire department. They were there and they helped save that building. If it wasn't for them, that building would have been lost for sure.
Again, getting very gusty. They do not have this thing under control.
All right, this is the footage from the next morning shot by Lynn, my friend's mother. And there's the back of the clock tower. And as you can see, New York Street has been totally burned down. And there's a front view of the clock tower. I worked on a film in 2003 that filmed on these exact sets. Let's take a look. All right, this is shooting down on the Universal backlot on New York Street. We're facing north. And the next shot, we're going to be facing south. This is one of the buildings that was destroyed in the fire. This was by the video vault. And there's the video vault with the little cheesy red arrow. And here's another angle of the video vault. We're now walking north down New York Street. And as you can see, these buildings are 3 to 4 stories tall. And they have an incredible amount of detail to them. They also have many intersecting streets. That way, you know, if you set up your camera at a certain angle, you can make this angle and this angle totally look like different parts of the city. And they're literally right across the street from each other. They can make these sets look like any period from the early 19th century, and in this case, they were dressing it for the 1960s. That gray building right there, that's the church, and I took one of my favorite shots. Here it is during the winter, and then of course I came back during the spring and shot the same shot. Not really. It's movie magic, guys stapling fake leaves to the branches. Due to the massive size of all these buildings, it's hard to believe that they could be burned down, but all of this is gone. This is the Universal Studios tour, and they're passing through New York Street. This is one of the highlights of the tour, and the reason I show you this is because the tram is literally pulling into the King Kong exhibit, which is now gone. Okay, we're heading into one of the back alleys of the New York Street. As you can see, it's very detailed. And now we're heading inside of the building. This is what it looks like. It's basically 3 stories of a lot of wood. Lighting crews would come in and position lights on those multiple levels and shine them towards the windows to make it look like the building was occupied. And there's some of the lights. Here's a roof view of New York Street. All of this is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And this building has become famous today because this archway you actually see in flames. Of course, there's the clock tower from the famous movie Back to the Future. It seems to have survived another fire. This is definitely a loss for Hollywood. I'm Eric, and you're watching Films in Focus.